Hi friends, I am Snehal, your another science teacher, and today we are going to start with the first chapter of 11th standard physics, the physical world. So in this chapter we are going to talk about what is physics, what do we study in physics, why do we study physics, etc. etc. So let's begin. So before talking about physics, we must talk about science because physics is branch of science. So what is science? So the word science has come from a Latin word called scientia, and the meaning of this word is to know. Okay, so to know about the things, to know about the world around us. So we human beings, we have always been fascinated about various wonders of nature. For an example, the periodic repetition of days and nights, then the color of sky, which is blue in daytime and it becomes dark in the night, then the stars, okay, the clouds, the rain, the rainbow, etc. etc. So there are various wonders of nature, and we human beings, we have been fascinated about them, and we wanted to know how do these natural phenomena happen. And this curiosity of human beings have given rise to this field of study called science. Okay, so next is how do we study science? So since we have been studying science and doing science now for millions of years, we have developed a method which more or less works. So the method is known as the scientific method. So let's see the scientific method. So there are various steps involved in a scientific method. So first step is to observe a phenomena. So first step is observation. All right. So for an example, let's suppose we have a ball rolling down an inclined plane. Okay, so let's suppose this is our inclined plane, and this ball rolls down the inclined plane. So we observe that the speed of this ball increases. Okay, so now what we do is we do controlled experiments. So let's suppose we want to find out the speed of this ball at the bottom. So we do controlled experiments. Why? Because maybe for the first time it was by fluke that its speed got increased, and next time it might decrease. Okay, so we do controlled experiments. Then so what do we do? So we'll release this ball several times, let's say from this height, from this height, from this height, etc. So we note down the displacement versus the speed at the bottom. Okay, so we'll get, let's say, a data which has two columns, displacement versus speed at the bottom. Okay, so let's suppose I have got this data of the displacement versus the speed of the ball at the bottom. So what do I do with this data? So I will do qualitative and quantitative reasoning. So our next step is reasoning. All right, so we'll try to reason why the speed is such and such for such and such displacement. Okay, and after that, after thinking, we'll try to find out a mathematical model for this data. Okay, so our next step would be to invent, to discover a mathematical model which works for this case. So to find a mathematical model, so mathematical modeling. Okay, so now let's look at this data. and let's try to find out a mathematical model or the relation between the displacement and speed of the ball at the bottom. So apparently there seems to be no connection between these displacement values and the speed. But if I just take a factor of half common from all these terms, all the values of displacement, a relation is there, it will become clear. So let's take half common from all these values. So if I just take half common, so these values can be written as half multiplied by 1, okay, it's 0.5, half multiplied by 4 is 2, half multiplied by 9 is 4.5, half multiplied by 16 is 8, and half multiplied by 25 is 12.5. All right, so I have written all displacement values as half times some number. Okay, so let's look at all the readings one by one and let's try to figure out if there is some pattern. So first reading is 0.5, which can be written as half times 1, and the speed is also 1. Second reading is 2, which can be written as half times 4, and then when displacement is 2, the speed at the bottom is also 2. Third reading, if we look at third reading, it is half times 9, okay, and the speed there is 3 meters per second. So can we see some pattern emerging? Of course, yes. So in second reading, we can see it's half times 4. Okay, so displacement can be written as half times 4. So this 4 can be 2 times 2 or 2 square, speed square. Okay, in third reading, we can say it's 9. So it is 3 square. So we got the mathematical relation. So displacement here can be written as half times speed square, or speed square equals to 2 times the displacement. All right, so this is the mathematical model which will work for this ball released at the top of this inclined plane, and we can figure out the speed of this ball at bottom using our mathematical relation. So then our next step is to predict the results. Okay, so our next step now, prediction. So we can use we can have some displacement and we can predict. So for particular displacement, how much should be the speed at the bottom? If it comes out to be correct, then our mathematical relation is correct. All right, so then next it will turn out to be correct for this case, so our mathematical relation is correct. So the next step is to verify or falsify the theory. All right, so depending upon the result, whether it's correct or not, we'll either verify our mathematical model or our theory, or we'll falsify it. All right, so this is somehow scientific method works. All right, so we talked about science and scientific method. Now let's come to our favorite subject, our subject of interest over here, and that's physics. So what is physics? So the word physics has come from a Greek word called physica, and it means nature. So what do we study in physics? We study nature. We study different natural phenomena and we try to find out the basic laws, the fundamental laws of nature that will explain those natural phenomena. All right. So since nature is so big, we can't study nature all at once. So we break down the subject of physics in different parts. Okay. So we call them domains. So there are two domains. First is macroscopic domain, and a second one is microscopic. Okay, so the things that we can see, we study about them in this macroscopic domain, and the things which we can't see, we have to see them through a microscope. So for them, there is this domain, microscopic. Okay, so this domain further, the macroscopic domain has further divided into several subjects, and the subjects are classical mechanics. So we study about motion in this subject called classical mechanics. Then thermodynamics, it's study of heat. Okay. Then next is um, optics. Okay. So we study about light here. And next one is electricity and magnetism. It's called electromagnetism. Okay. So in this subject we study about the electricity and magnetism. And in the microscopic domain, we study about small particles like atoms and molecules, and also their constituent elements, the protons, neutrons, and electrons. So this subject is known as quantum mechanics. And it might feel shocking to you that the Newton's laws that we have been studying since ninth standard, they are not applicable at this level. Okay, for small particles like atoms, molecules, or even to proton, neutron, electrons. So these subjects, classical mechanics, study of motion, thermodynamics, study of heat, optics, the study of light, and electromagnetism, which is study of electricity and magnetism, they are introduced to you in ninth and 10th standard in science, okay, at introductory level. But the quantum mechanics, it is completely new subject, and there will be some chapters, some introduction to quantum mechanics in 12th standard, which we call modern physics. All right, so this is all I wanted to share with you in this class. Okay, see you in the next class.